Mr. Rutledge an opportunity to address some concerns. We know that right now you are in the midst of a case. That's why you're in Danville too. There's a court case tomorrow. But before we talk about that, for people who are just tuning in, even for some people that may not be familiar with your lawsuit and your case against the Chattanooga Police Department back in 2010, who is Merle Rutledge?
Merle Rutledge is the person who's a civil rights activist, not just locally, nationally. I've handled issues in Ohio, North Carolina, even dealing with, of course, civil rights issues as well as First Amendment issues. I'm a big person about free speech, free press, which, of course, that's what you do.
Right,
So,
absolutely.
I'm very controversial. A lot of people have said that I've been quiet throughout the time period, but I haven't. I've worked on a lot of matters dealing with, of course, the police department, Danville Public Schools, Pennsylvania County Public Schools.
So people
and
can
more.
currently call you. It's amazing that you're here. Quite coincidentally, we've had a few calls before you even came on the air tonight, and you saw the call just now, which concerns Danville Public Schools. So people are able to call you if they have an issue with their child. What umbrella does it fall under? What type of issues do you handle?
I handle them all.
Bullying.
If it's a bullying
Okay.
issue, if I feel strongly about the issue and can there be some corrective action, I will, of course, go to bat for that person,
Okay.
even meet with the school officials. But most of the time, Frank, they have to have a lawyer in the room, which is their policy before meeting up with me. And I don't have no problem with that.
Okay, all right. There may be a young lady that may call in tonight. All right. So, where did you grow up? People might want to know. Okay, who is he? Who's your family? Where did you grow up? And
Actually, I'm from Irvington, New Jersey.
Okay, all
Up
right.
until 10. And actually, after 10, I've been in the Pennsylvania County area, Chatham, Virginia, more specifically. I graduated from Dan River High School, so all big ups to the Wildcats. Of course, that state basketball championship, I'm real proud of y'all.
okay.
Yes, yes, I've always been from here. I never forgot my roots.
All right. So you're coming back to help. You haven't forgotten where you came from.
Yeah.
Let's deal with this case. The Commonwealth of Virginia, Christy Clay and Childress versus Merle Rutledge. It notes that in 2013, Christy Clay was working at Woodside Village Apartments as a rental manager. She was arrested for using insulting language against an African American couple, and this is from your Facebook page.
Yep.
The allegations are attached, and we have the allegations, and hopefully we'll be able to show it, of allegedly telling that she'd wished to get rid of all African Americans. There is a statement on the screen. The document says that Christy Clay and her husband, they did try to add you even as a friend on Facebook, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Oh, wow. And they said, and you're saying, listen, I'm not your friend. Let's talk about the case and this statement that's on the screen as we keep it right there. Someone has written on, my daughter, and I don't want to read the name, tried to get into a rental agreement at Woodside Village Apartments, and Christy Clay came over, and her husband, they told her to leave the premises. Is that correct?
Yes.
And are you familiar with this? So can you give us
Yes,
some background on what we're reading right here? 'Cause
Yes.
It's so small, I can't see my writing.
Oh yeah. This was a complaint that was filed before my incident. This was when I found out that, of course, race had a lot to do with her actions towards black people in a discriminatory manner.
Okay.
She jumps on a truck and says, "I'm going to get rid of all you black MFs."
Is she
And
still the property manager?
you know what's shocking? The people I'm suing tomorrow, which is her company, they're saying that she doesn't work for the company. She's a third-party independent contractor. And I'm like, well, she is able to ban people. She does the rentals to this place. So she works for you, So I've never heard of a place try to dismiss somebody to try to go ahead and get out of liability that works for you regularly.
Wow. So let's talk about this statement that we're seeing on the screen. Give us some background on that.
This was a couple who had a disagreement with a family member. I guess it got loud in some kind of manner, and Chrissy Clay went over to get involved. Now, there's nothing wrong with getting involved and keeping the peace. But once you start saying, I'm trying to get rid of you black MFs and jumping on cars and all this and making people fearful for their life, you escalated a situation that could have been handled.
How many people corroborated this story though, and agreed that this is what she said? Because, we think about it. We're in an age now where you can record real quickly. Was this recorded? How was it so that several people agreed that she said that she wanted to get rid of black people?
Well, this is an actual document from the Danville Circuit Court.
Okay.
So this ain't me involved in any kind of way.
Okay.
This is what the police recorded from the victim, and of course the charge was filed.
Which, when you write something, it is pretty much saying this is your statement, and you have to do it under oath. So
Yes.
we know that is so. So how did you get involved? Because I want to make it clear, you don't live in Woodside. You did not live in Woodside. So how did Merle Rutledge get involved with this actual case of Woodside Village?
Well, this one was pretty much one of the cases that was being complained about. How I got involved directly was because she attempted to ban me. But instead of just banning me, she called the police and said that this person is not supposed to be here, meaning I was trespassing on the property. Now, 12 of Danville Police Department's finest decided to come to this apartment complex to ban me. I'm not armed, I'm not a danger or a threat to the public. And one officer came there saying, I only came because you keep filing complaints against us. And I never heard of 12 police officers needed for one man. Maybe they fear what I know, or just maybe they just have some
What was
other
their
problems.
reason for banning you? They had to give a reason why they had to ban you from Woodside Village.
They said I was in an apartment because they had to go inside the apartment
Right.
without tenants. I'm like, how in the world did I get an apartment and nobody let me in? And the other one was for tenant complaints. Officer Hawkins, I'm going to go on record with y'all names because y'all did this to me. That's why I'm back. Anyway, he comes in and asks her to show him the complaints. She could not show him the complaints. We went to court on this matter. She still couldn't produce the complaints that supposedly came from tenants. So this was a direct act. And also, she basically said that Woodside has video surveillance. She says supposedly we don't have no video surveillance, but the police department handles trespassing cases as well as murders based off of their video. So all of a sudden, they're not going after a video that is supposed to be helpful to them, or it doesn't exist because it's helpful to me. So this lets you know how far things go.
So tomorrow, this will be heard in court. How did this even? I mean,
I never trusted Danville Circuit Court judges that actually approved for me to move this lawsuit forward without no prepayment.
What is a lawsuit for? And what does a lawsuit state?
The lawsuit states that I was falsely arrested, detained, based off of Christy Clay, who worked for the apartment complex, and 12 Danville Police Department.
So you actually have a lawsuit now against the Danville Police Department and Christy Clay.
Yes, and her company.
And the company.
That employed her. And at this time period, it's about getting justice. And I'm not one to go ahead and sit down and be framed without fighting it all the way to.
So you feel that you have been framed?
I've been framed. That whole case was as much, I wish I could say the words, crap, ever to be put out there. I even put the trial transcript out and the suppression hearing so people could read the case for themselves.
Right. It's on Facebook for, and people have to actually friend you to get information. Do you ever worry? I mean, even that's one of the questions I asked Alvin, and we're going to be talking with him again because we do know that our city officials do watch the show. They do.
I'm pretty sure they're watching now.
Right. And so do you ever get worried about that they're watching and they could possibly be noting some things that are said on the show to even use against you possibly in court?
They could go ahead and write it down. They could record it. They could go ahead and copy, give it to third parties. What I'm saying right now, I'm going to go on record for it. Now, if you got a problem with what I'm saying, you know how to find me. You know how to sue me. But it's shocking. Like I said, I know Danville is not going to give me justice. I had to go to Hanover Circuit Court all the way past Richmond.
So why have a lawsuit here in Danville if you already feel like you're not going to get justice?
Because for one, who am I to back away from a fight? I've been fighting for people all my life. You know, whether it's the school system, whether it's the court system, whether it's the police department. If I quit now, what does that say to the next person that's coming up?
So it's really to make a statement and really just to fight it to the end.
It's more than to make a statement, it's payback. There's one thing about me all the way across the board, anybody who knows me, you're not going to frame me. And my job is to go ahead and get my conviction overturned. But not only that, to make them pay.
Have you advised your attorneys? I'm sure you have attorneys that are working with you. And if you mind taking some phone calls now?
Yeah, I don't
think
have no
people
problem
are ready to
taking
talk
phone
with you.
calls.
All right, 835-4802 if you want to talk with Merle. We still have so much more to talk about, including something that's dealing with the governor. You wrote a letter to the governor recently about a possible march
Yes.
around the governor's office. So we'll talk about that. Hey, good evening, caller. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, I was just wondering, why do people not realize they have to, first of all, obey the laws, and then when they're not obeying the laws, and when the police officers are called on them, they don't have to adhere to what the police officers say.
Okay.
They think they can pull guns on them or fight them or run from them or, that's nobody's right. That's for our protection. That's for the whole world's protection as the police department.
Well,
Alright.
I'm going to answer your question. Earlier in the show, I said there's no excuse for anybody pulling a gun on an officer or hitting an officer, resisting arrest, or disobeying the law. Our job is to make you conscious of the law and what your rights is. Now, I would never condone violence at all, even with the Dallas police shootings, Baton Rouge police shootings, even one down here where a Pennsylvania County Sheriff's deputy had his car shot up. I would never, ever agree with somebody taking any kind of violent acts
So you
towards
don't
police, no
condone
matter
it.
how bad they are.
You don't condone it.
No. I'd rather deal with them in court.
I just heard something on TV a couple of weeks ago where somebody was actually surprised that white people are afraid of black people. And I wonder why. I wonder why black people are surprised that white people are afraid of them.
Well, I think you made an overgeneralization of a statement to put black people or white people as we all think alike. I got plenty of white friends. We eat out. We go bowling. If you're in fear of anybody, that's a question you have to ask yourself as an individual.
Are you afraid of African Americans, caller?
Pretty much, yeah. Well, I'm cautious. Let's put it that way. I'm very cautious because I just read an article about some in the paper here where it said that let me find it. Let me see. I think it's in today's paper.
Hey, caller, have you ever had somebody from the other race over your house for dinner?
Oh yeah. Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
you wasn't scared of that
Absolutely.
person.
I used to be in a marching band here in Danville,
Okay,
and I had a lot of black friends.
okay. So,
Yeah, I certainly did.
So what
So,
causes
yeah.
your alarm to the caller? What causes your heightened? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
They're very simple. What I was talking about was this. There was an article about. Let me see if I can find it. It was talking about this thing. I think it was talking about this thing in where was it? Up north.
Corey, you're talking about the young lady. Is it Corey Gaines that was killed?
Yeah.
Okay.
But why do black folks think they're gonna tear up the whole town or their side of town? Well, what are they accomplishing? And then their aldermen, I guess that's pretty much like what we call city councilmen, would come in and say, we're tired of being oppressed. Well, look, yeah, if I'm a police officer and somebody's pointing a gun at me, I don't have time to think about oppression. I really don't. All I got to do is think about getting home to my wife and children. You know?
Okay, Merle, did you want to comment?
actually, on a lot of situations with, I guess you're trying to go into protests and whether I agree
Black
with
Lives
people
Matter.
being violent and stuff
Okay.
like that. Honestly, I told people I don't agree with people being on a highway because I'm looking at the safety of people. Somebody can actually have a mental breakdown and run people over. Then we lose people. And I don't care what race
Everybody's
you are.
lives matter.
Yeah.
And it's amazing you just brought it up because we're going to talk about Black Lives Matter. You don't agree with the protesting and the Black Lives Matter movement?
Excuse me?
You don't agree with the protesting and the Black Lives Matter movement?
Well, it depends on how you protest.
Okay.
Are you gonna
That's fair.
tear up the town or hurt people or
Right.
intimidate people or,
Right.
way of doing things, way of doing everything. But everybody's lives matter. Black lives is not the only lives that matter.
Right.
White lives matter and blue lives matter.
Right.
And I actually agree
Who do you
with you.
call? Who do you call when somebody's intimidating you? You call
I'm gonna
911.
I'm gonna call the police. I will call the police.
And Caller, I think,
Absolutely.
Caller, let me answer you. Honestly, I agree with you. I like exactly what you just said. I don't think people should be intimidating nobody at all. There's certain things about Black Lives Matter I do agree with. There are very sensible people about getting the
Someone
job
compared
done.
it to the KKK,
Well-
saying that it was a hate group.
Well, the KKK already determined themselves as a hate group. I believe that any organization is going to have members that I don't agree with, no matter what organization that you're a part of. And yes, when
As much as people say they want to be similar, why do we have to be so dissimilar? You know?
well, that's the thing, Caller. Like at first you said why black people and white people or the intimidation factor. I think we all need to work together on bridging this gap. See, when people don't know too much about people, they tend to go ahead and go with what they read
All right.
up here.
All right, go ahead. We don't want to talk at the same time. Go ahead, caller.
Who is gonna step up and say, hey, that's enough of all this nonsense? Who's gonna say it's enough of this intimidation, on both sides, and everybody just calm the hell down and let's try to get along here.
Actually, I would like to talk to you a lot
I got black friends
further.
and white friends. I'm white. Now I got black friends and white friends.
But you said you were
Absolutely.
scared.
I always have all my whole life.
So what makes you scared of African Americans? Because you also mentioned that you do have a heightened.
The ones I don't know, I live almost in a neighborhood where I grew up in.
Which was where?
It was a predominantly white neighborhood, North Danville.
Okay.
It was, at the time when I grew up in it was predominantly white. Now it's probably, I'd say 50% black. And I was intimidated by about 5 or 6 about 12-year-old kids one day. They were challenging me. And I'm 58 years old. You know what? Where are their parents at? Who taught them that?
Well, your
Who
issue.
taught them that? When I was a kid, I was afraid of older people. I mean, I respected them, and I was afraid of their authority.
Well, times has changed, but factually, I see where you're coming at, but actually it's not a black and white issue. I want you to sort of break apart from that part. We have a problem with parenting and kids respecting their elders. Whether you white, black, if you are elder and you trying to lead the kids in the right direction, then of course they should
You're right
respect you.
about that.
And
About
I really don't
When they
condone
took
anybody.
God out of schools,
I really don't condone anybody talking back to their elders in that type of way. But my thing is, have you ever been a victim yourself of these kids? Meaning, have they personally attacked you, or did they just say something that you didn't like?
yeah, they were going to. They were coming at me, and I grabbed my phone and acted like I was going to call somebody because I didn't know what else to do. What was I going to do? I didn't want to pull a gun on them,
Well, would you like to? We're gonna have to take a break, but Merle wants to talk to you further. I don't know how you guys are gonna do that, but would you like to talk with Merle further after the show?
Well, I was just flipping through the channels, and I saw this question and answer thing, and it reminded me of this alderman, or whatever, talking about black people are tired of being oppressed. But the white people are tired of being oppressed too right now. They really are.
Well,
They
you
really
have
are.
you have a
Now,
black man.
Y'all not hearing that.
I'm
Well,
listening.
You're not hearing that.
I'm listening. How are white people oppressed? Could you answer that for me? How do Caucasians feel that they are oppressed? I'm trying to understand.
Okay.
Because, black folks are, the way I've been hearing it for years is black folks are the minorities. But, right now, white folks are minorities. White man is a minority.
But how are you all oppressed? That's the when you talk about oppression, that's a word that I would like for you to elaborate on. How do you all feel like you are being oppressed?
I'm not being oppressed. I'm being held hostage. That's what I want to say. Don't threaten me with this and that. No, we might burn this town down if we're not satisfied with this and that. That is, what in the world? Where did all this thuggism come from? I mean,
I hear you. Listen, I appreciate you for calling in. Go ahead, Merle, because we've got to take a break.
Well, she gave you an opportunity to get to know me. I'm black, and of course, you don't want to take up the opportunity because obviously you became silent towards that part. Maybe on the other end, try to get to know as many people as you can before coming to judgment.
He said he doesn't mind meeting you.
Oh, I don't have a problem with meeting you. I would look forward to it, sitting down at the table, hearing your views and your insight. And let's make that happen very soon. I do look forward to it. I just want you to know that I'm one person. I don't plan on intimidating you, but I want you to have an overall picture that not everybody is just the same. We all want peace just like you.
I think we need white leaders and black leaders to get their minds together, let's get everybody together, and don't let
I agree.
side go crazy, and hold the other hostage for anything. Because look, I'm not doing anything to anybody. I'm just trying to make my way in life. You know what I mean?
I hear you. And then listen, we appreciate you for calling in tonight. Thank you. I hope that you'll continue to stay right there. Don't change the channel. 835-4802 if you want to call Merle. He mentioned two important things before we take our break. He did bring up Black Lives Matter, which is one of those issues you wanted to address. He also brought up protesting. With the recent events, you mentioned that you wanted to do something on a larger scale, which was to go to the governor's mansion and hold a march or a small protest. Good evening, caller. Could you hold on because we do need to take a break?
Yeah.
All right, and I want to know what's going on with that when we come back. All right,
Okay,
tell
no
us,
problem.
give us an update. Merle Rutledge is my guest tonight. The phone lines are open. We're going to go over time because I feel like he's going to be getting some calls. I'm getting a lot of messages, by the way, Merle. I'll try to read some of those during the break. Stay with us. You're watching Star Talk on Star News. We'll take your call.